Some interesting maneuvers on both sides with those final bans. DogChamp removing the Pangolier themselves, whereas Hokori, they banned away the Mars. So this maybe makes me think that the Chaos Knight is leaning a little bit more towards that 3 role, because Mars would have been one of the better options in terms of having further lockdown for the Medusa. Instead, they ban it away, and then they grab the Ogre for themselves, which is always interesting. This is a hero that South America still sort of refuses to let go just yet. The popularity of the Ogre in SA compared to other regions is significantly higher, at least it was coming into this event. So, I mean, it does give you a little bit of lockdown to work with. The Bloodlust is still going to be useful for buffing up some sort of carry option here, but it'll be interesting to see exactly what they get out of this Ogre Magi, especially looking at that DK on the other side, because your Ogre's normal kind of bully tactics in lane aren't going to be as effective if you're going up against a position 3 Dragon Knight.
Yeah, and at the same time, it solves an aspect of their problems here. And I think they go for the ogre just because they're testing the waters a little bit. Really, another band that I almost want to see from DogChamp, if Hokori really want to, we could see them just pair the ogre magi with the Terror Blade at the end of this phase. And I think that's where they're almost gauging whether or not this off lane is going to be unlaneable over for Yuma. But at the same time, with the DK, we'll have to see because that is definitely a bully hero, but unless there's a combo, it's not all too scary. And they actually turned this draft around, so it looks like it will be the Yard Coddle almost assuredly, but that is a Bloody Nine Abaddon, and that is a very defensive hero. You're not really holding anybody with an Abba, you're more so trying to get your main cores out of there, so it's a interesting direction for them to go through. I don't know if Hikori really need to take the bait, though. They want to. They could just pick the TB right now, and that's another great hero that you can reflect the Curse of Avernus onto the Abba. It makes those team fights really miserable.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think they have to take the bait. I think they could just take what they want here. You've got a Terrorblade against a lineup that is severely lacking in lockdown, and quite frankly, until the Medusa gets sort of built up, lacking in damage as well. So I feel like this could just be a straightforward play for them. Yuma's lane doesn't look like it's going to be overly complicated, especially with the Ogre there to back him up. So see if that's the play that they make. Of course, if they do so, that means that DogChamp's going to get free shots at the pool of mid heroes, but at this point in the game, I think you are looking at wider options for analog than you are for you if you don't take the carry right.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of other Yuma heroes. Of course, the Monkey King. No,
Oh,
that is also a Yuma hero, though, and a Yuma hero that not only could be Yumas, but it could also be analogs. It could also be shoved off into the off lane. I mean, talk about flexibility. We don't always get to see it as Kuka kind of ebbs and flows in popularity, especially in South America, but he never leaves. And, well, you got Kunkka versus Abaddon. That's your little slight counter right there because the X mark, well, persists through absolutely everything. But okay, the core keep us guessing, and they really are working this last pick for all that it's worth because that's what DogChimp have to do now. They are guessing. They don't know what Hikori need.
just got to take their best shot at it. And, I mentioned before with Ogre, that was a hero that SA refused to let go. Kunkka's sort of the big brother to that situation, even more so. South American teams just not even really forcing the Kunkka. That was the phrase I wanted to use, but it's not like they're putting it in situations where it doesn't work. They just keep on relying on it, where a lot of other regions sort of started looking to other options. So no matter what, you got lockdown, you got some team fight strength, you got some damage potential, and as you said, you have a hero that can basically play 1 to 3. So if you're dog champ, make your best guess. The Monkey King is honestly not a bad guess, all things considered. So just take out the most annoying heroes left in the pool.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. I think from Hikori, whenever they do pick up the Kunkka here, usually I think Bat Rider is kind of a no-brainer when it comes to taking out that hero because that could make Kunkka's mid lane option just a little bit more difficult. At the same time, I think DogChamp need a little bit more team fight. If they ban out Puck Batrider, I think that would be killer because I think that's exactly what DogChamp needs. They need someone who's going to keep them around now. It's where, as we continuously see with this DK pickup, you're so single target. So many drafts end up centered around that Dragon Tail, and it's great. It's a great stun. It's a great disable, but paired up with the Coddle, your damage is very slow. Your carry is not going to be blinking in and really doing that burst. Neither is your 5. It's not like we have a Lion or a Hoodwink on DogChamp's side. So I feel like they need to double down here. They need to get someone that's actually going to stick them around. Otherwise, I don't see why Hokori can't walk away from you.
Without that lockdown, it's just not going to be really simple, especially with CK and Kunkka having so much in the way of durability. So quick and easy kills are not looking like they're going to be abundant for DogChamp, and that's before we've even seen the final hero. So we'll have to continue to wait. Hokori do have one final ban, as you mentioned. They went for the bat first. Going to ban out the Leshrac as opposed to the Puck, which the Lesh is certainly a higher threat in terms of, I guess, the damage, whereas the Puck has maybe a little bit more lockdown. That would have been a bit.
Yeah, but now with the Lesh ban, is the PL coming? Is that what we're going to see? It's a little bit scary. A lot of Hokori's options are honestly scary. I think really that's where they've had to weigh the most is what they're comfortable sending Yuma against, because you can certainly lose the DK lane. And that
Yeah.
is a pretty clever pick. Now they're going to send the DK mid versus the Kunkka, a lane that really nobody loses unless, Kunkka gets level 6 and then somehow finds a soul kill opportunity. But I think this also narrows in onto Yuma's hero pool a little bit because you're not going to see Yuma go for a hero like, let's say, the Morphling or the TB, at least not in full confidence now, because there is that element of this Timbersaw running at you in that early phase, in that this Timbersaw can certainly get on top of you. And hey, it's Timbersaw versus what? Two strength cores versus both the Kunkka and the CK. Hokori are certainly going to need to worry about that Timbersaw in these team fights. But at the same time, do they just perhaps pick the Faceless Void for our boy Yuma here? They've got a lot of options again. It really is just how they want to lane now, especially with the Timbersaw slammed.
Faceless Void does look like a nice appealing option. You can set up the Ghost Ship for free. The Torrent Hoodwink's going to be able to hit a sharpshooter unless Misho just closes his eyes and tries it. But that is none of the options that we had been talking about previously. That is a Slark last pick, and I don't know. Every time I see the Slark, there's a part of me that always just starts getting a little bit concerned because this hero basically either smashes through everyone or it's useless, and there's really no in between.
Well, and hey, at the end of the day, right? That's your unstunnable, getting in and out of fights, able to force out Stone Gaze and then immediately retreat, but also dies pretty quickly versus Timbersaw regardless, just because the burst damage and the Dark Pact doesn't really do much versus you in that regard. But hey, it's interesting. Versus the Timbersaw, I knew they weren't going to go for an option like the PL just because of how weak the lane was, even though I feel like that's where the Lesh ban was almost leading us here. But it is certainly a gamble. It is a interesting pickup. Heroes like Slark in the Fusel Blade getting cheaper certainly got a lot stronger, but still are very unpopular. It's a big reason why we never see Ricky, even though it feels like that hero really is not as weak as everybody says it is, but just doesn't have that same moment in a lot of drafts. And I think Slark is very similar in that regard here. Maybe just a little bit more durable and a little bit more reliable during the nighttime, but I don't know. I've got some concerns, but I feel as if Hokori have answered most of them. It really is just going to be a matter of that safe line. I think if Speed has a great game, this Slar could really feel useless.
Yeah, and the good news for Yuma is that you have the Ogre Magi, who's the kind of hero to play bully ball against your opponents, basically. However, well, you're trying to bully a Timbersaw as a melee support who is also a strength hero. So, as much as your Ogre would sort of like to have that kind of impact, it could very easily turn around against Gardic if he's not careful.
Yeah. And I just hope that these team fights are clean from DogChamp. It is a lot more to play around with, especially for Fade. Having this Timbersaw just go in, cause the chaos. I don't want to see a knee-jerky reaction. They have so many defensive tools on DogChamp's side. They've got the Blinding Light, they have the Aphotic Shield, they've got the Misclose to throw out. I do not want to see Stonebank forced to use his ulti and then just have them forfeit a side of the map because of him doing so. I really want to see a much more patient DogChamp than I think we've seen when they do have to play versus these SA squads.
In the meantime, Hokori, a very sort of roundabout path there to get themselves into the west side jungle. They drop the ward as they go, so got some nice vision for the top lane. They drop a ward mid here as well, but unfortunately they're not going to get any chance at some sort of first blood play because 4 of the 5 DogChamp heroes are in the south, and the final one was Speed, who very wisely got as far away from that triangle as he could. So there's going to be an engagement. It'll be on this river rune. That's a nice illuminate to start things off, but now they're starting to stack up the stuns on Bloody Nine. The problem is, don't really have much damage here, and now Gardeck's the one who's going to get turned on, and not sure if he makes it out. Amisho, that's a nifty bushwhack, but the illuminate is not enough by itself. B9 comes in with the Aphotic Shield pop. He'll find the kill. The tower shots don't bring him down. And in the most convoluted starting fight I think I've ever seen, it is DogChamp who get first blood.
Yeah, and hey, what works, works. Unfortunately, B9 is going to have to relinquish a lot of his lane, has to use his TP as well, and Vitaly was having none of that. He got out, I think, faster than any of the Hokori heroes did, so he even gets a little bit of a block in his lane, and almost forces Stonebank to miss some XP here, but that's also where this Medusa is going to be on his lonesome for just a little bit longer. And B9 is back with 2 salves, 2 sets of tangos. He is ready to fight.
All that first blood gold just gets poured directly into Regen to try and just take control of this lane early. So, see whether or not that's successful. This is not a great start for him. Elmisha comes in with the Bushwhack. Vitaly gets the Chaos Bolt. Doesn't have the Reality Rift, though. So without that, he can't really get the kill, but this is what Bloody Nine bought all this damn regen for. He's going to be popping through it pretty quickly. Stonebank, though, is getting harassed a pretty decent bit here. Another Bushwhack coming in. Chaos Bolt reapplied. Not going to be able to find a kill here, but so confident for Bloody Nine coming to the lane with all this extra regen. He's already had to use pretty much all of it.
Yeah, and it is just the simple fact that I think this lane is just so good at pouring out that mana. Vitaly doesn't have a great way right now of getting any of that mana back into him, but level 1 Chaos Bolt is still just a very frightening spell at level 1. Just so easy to trade into and really sink your teeth into whatever target you go on. But that's also where I think B9 might just look for the small camp pretty soon here. The wave is really far up from Stonebank.
Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Speed just willing to get right up into the faces of this Hokori duo. He's got chain, he's got reactive armor, so he knows there's not a whole lot that can be done to him. Even if Yuma does hit with this pounce, the only significant forms of damage Yuma can do is right-clicking, and that gets you reactive armor stacks. Is back in the bottom lane, Stonebank actually did get picked off. That wasn't even a combo. Amisho did that. Actually, okay, never mind. There was a little bit of an assist to Vitaly, but that is not really something that should have gone down. B9 just wasn't able to provide enough defensive strength to keep the Medusa alive.
Yeah, and I think that's large in part because you are a melee 5, you are that much slower, you have to walk in between the lanes, and even though you're relatively fast position 5, when it comes to making your way over to the small camp, you have to spend so much time alone there and just never getting that control back. It's just the rhythm of Medusa. You nuke in the wave, you get a few lasts with Mystic Snake, you're at the offlaner's tower, and then you need to wait for it to push back into you, and until you do that, you just get right-clicked. You just get fed into.
Rough situation for Stonebank there going down early, but, well, a death this early on is not going to be a massive setback for him. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Yuma, yeah, this is not exactly a fun scenario for him. As we said before, he tries to go in onto the Timber Saw, he doesn't really have any way of making the damage stick, and Naren, with the Illuminate having multiple points up in it, he is a bit of a danger, damage-wise, and the Slark has to sort of dance his way around that. The good news, though, is that he is able to farm up underneath his tower. Meanwhile, back down bot, there is yet another fight as B9 is not going to get taken down. He's able to fall back to the tower. Stonebank does have to step in and absorb an extra bit of that damage, but keeps this duo up and running in the lane. And now Elmisho, yeah, that snake is going to drop him pretty low, but Hoodwink survives, salves up, and should be just okay.
Yeah, really the big issue is that again, DogChamp's wave is so far. They keep on having to cross this line to get the last hits, and in doing so, sure, Stonebank has a 15 stick. You know, he should be fine for the immediate future, but they keep on walking past the wave to zone the Medusa off the tower. And without that tower, you don't have that much armor, you don't have any additional HP regen. It's more resources that really specifically B9 has to buy over for Stonebank because he's not going to buy regen on Medusa.
Yeah, not exactly part of the usual build-up here for Urdusa, so B9 will have to bear that responsibility as Vitali's going to make the jump in. There's going to be the Rowdy Rift into the Chaos Bolt, into the Bushwhack. The Acorn Shot comes through, and Elmisho secures the kill. So they just keep on going in. Really, there's nothing to stop him at this point in the off lane, so even if you can't get Stonebank himself, put pressure on the lane in general, and now Elmisho able to snag a Bounty Rune. Honestly, at this point, if he weren't sort of lacking for mana, he could look for a rotation elsewhere, but okay, Vitali's gonna go. They saw an opportunity onto Stonebank. This is not an easy kill. Stonebank had been holding onto that wand for a pretty spectacular amount of time, but just burn through it if you can. Vitali's not really gonna face any significant consequences for that, so just keep on applying that pressure, really.
Yeah, no, continues to give, continues to give. It's where I do hope that there are stacks on the other side of the map for this Medusa, and there are, because you do have a Coddle, you are able to make that rotation and give the Soul Lane over to Speed, who is also having a very stable time versus the Slark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've hit the point now where your Timber can just sit here. 2 points up in the reactive, so not a whole lot to be done against him. Of course, the other side of that coin is at what point will Yuma necessarily be able to maybe just sit here by himself as well and free up the Ogre Magi to move around? Because your Timbersaw with this build really doesn't have significant amounts of damage as B9 is going to get himself picked off down in the bottom lane. Vitali, very low in exchange though, and Stonebank, for a moment, looked like he wanted to push forward, but doesn't really have the regen to keep that fight going if he did get turned on, and what's going on here? Analog and Fade. Bit of a fight around the tier 1. Fade using that first Elder Dragon form to try and apply some pressure, but Analog's a little too tanky. He's got 2 bracers, he had Gardic TP in, so not really a kill that your DK is going to be able to pick up.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen a rune yet really picked up. Neither of these mid laners kind of care. No Bono picked up because why do you really need to go for that? Doesn't really make sense. Maybe we see Analog turn around for it. Kunkka is one of those heroes where you do go back to the well pretty often, but again, the wave is so far up bottom. I'm so surprised we're not seeing that Abaddon go for more of these pulls because it's just so rough. And Elmisho, does he get the turn on the Bushwhack? Needs to run away from the trees.
I got him. Elmisho played that so well. The snake came out onto him. He was able to heal up, absorb that damage, and then turn around for the Bushwhack that really helped him secure it. So this has gone from a concerning lane ET to a disaster of a lane. 0-2 on your Medusa. Net worth wise, he is very far down that list. So, well, maybe it's time to shove off from this bottom lane if at all possible. But your Medusa does TP back in, so he's not willing to give up on it just yet.
Well, in very similar fashion to Speed's Axe game, he is still the main focus. He is still creep cutting. He is still the highest net worth on his team. He is really doing everything and then some for his own game. I just hope we can feel that pressure across the map when his time has come. It's also where he is getting this tower for free. The Slark is not really able to hold it. Yuma is not even level 6. It's where, unfortunately, Gardic has been taking a lot of that experience. It just has to lane with the Slark, whereas the Coddle can very easily rotate out. Doesn't look like there's a play mid, though. Looks like that's going to calm down pretty quickly, but top tower will be claimed in very fast succession.
Analog just got his hands on the Arcane Rune, though, so might see him go for some sort of ghost ship play. He walked past Bloody 9 there. That was a little bit strange, so they know the Kunkka's position. Don't think he's going to sneak up on anybody, but he's into the jungle. He's trying to steal some camps. That's got to count for something. In the meantime, Fade just trying to get damage onto that tower once again, but the Elder Dragon form will fade away, and well, Gardic is just going to really hold this by himself. No one coming in to help him at the moment, but I don't know if he has to be afraid. Even if they get the Dragon Tail down here, Fade and B9 don't exactly have a high amount of damage to go for a kill, but well, just keep pressuring the tower, see what they can get. Gardic comes in with a stun, but this is really just sort of stalling tactics. In the meantime, up in the top lane, Speed got the tower. It's hanging out around the tier 2 now as Yuma and Misho try to sort of keep him at arm's length, but that is not where the fight's going down. The real fight's happening mid. They get the X onto B9. They're going to pull him back into the Ghost Ship, into the Torrent. Yarn pulled in by the Reality Rift as well. Stunned up now by the Chaos Bolt, and he is not getting himself out of there. Gardic comes in with the stun with the Fire Blast, and they will clean that one up. It is just the 2 supports, and now they'll lose a support of their own elsewhere on the map as Misho goes down, but save the tier 1 tower, you find a couple of kills, you alleviate some of this pressure perhaps on Yuma. Things are starting to look a little bit better for them, especially if they can actually get the Dragon Knight here as well. They do push their way in, and Fade doesn't really have a lot of backup. His teammates are actually preoccupied trying to deal with Analog, because Analog's going straight in onto the Medusa. Said Medusa getting stunned up, Stonebank looking for his out. Vitali does not have his abilities back on cooldown though, so not able to push any further forward, and Hokori might have been a little bit better served by focusing on a singular target there. They try to split the focus between Fade and Stonebank. They end up getting neither kill. This is just going to sort of devolve into nothing.
Yeah, and with that, Stonebank feels free enough to actually go for his Ancient stack, a stack that he really needs. Even though B9 was certainly spending a lot of time outside of the lane, he really needs these levels, really needs to start fastening himself up. Only has 2 points in Split Shot at level 7. I mean, it does not feel the nicest to be this Medusa right now, but at the same time, it's Speed's time to shine, and we really need to see this Timbersaw get aggressive. Can only imagine that after he nukes out this wave, would love to see him actually make a way towards mid in any capacity, but that's also where, if you're DogChamp, have to be very careful. Misho having his 6, that Sharpshooter is so much more damage. Anybody who gets X boat comboed, plus that Sharpshooter is most likely going to get taken down.
Just a nice little combo that they're going to be able to get, well, maybe not every single time, but far more often than not. So we'll see how DogChamp try to deal with that. For now, they're really just content with sort of sitting back and letting this one go slowly out of the laning stage. So not really feeling too rushed just yet. We'll see. What did Speed get? I think he just finished off his Hood of Defiance here, so he's going to be that little bit tankier. Now might be the time when you start seeing him start to get involved a little bit more. Because so far, 1-0-0 on the Timbersaw. I know there haven't been too many kills on the DogChamp side for him to participate in, but it could change if he starts pressing into these fights.
Yeah, and at the same time, you look over at the DK, who is still farming up pretty nicely. He's going to be looking at his Blank Dagger, and maybe that's the moment that they decide to break open the mid lane. But it certainly feels a little bit strange. Usually in these types of games, perhaps if there wasn't a DK on the board, Stonebank would be the one taking over mid on the Medusa, and then having the mid laner and the offlaner sync up in the enemy safe lane, and then they try to take up that space. But instead, really, everyone on DogChamp is trying to find and split their farm as reasonably as they can imagine. But that's a very low-level Abaddon who's not level 6 12 minutes into the game. That's a free one.
You're able to find that kill, and now they're going to give it a go, trying to jump onto Speed here. Hit him up with the X into the Ghost Ship, into the Torrent, pull him in with the Reality Rift and the Chaos Bolt, the Fire Blast, everything that they've got being thrown out here, but all of that just gave Speed basically max stacks on his reactive armor. He's going to start turning around, dishing out the damage. As they take Gardic down first, now they want in onto Vitali. Vitali's going to look for the TP. Do they have any cancel? No. So, it's just Gardic that they take down there, but that's kind of the perfect example of just how strong this Timbersaw is right now. That was basically every hero that they had other than the Slark getting involved, and Speed was never really in that much danger.
Yeah, I think they try that kill a lot sooner. There was no sharpshooter on board, so, you know, at that point, what are you really doing to this Timbersaw? And as I was talking about with the Timber, the easiest time to find him is in between the waves. It's when he's really just walking in between these camps, but without any of that high ground vision, without this cliff, really, you don't really get to see that Timber make the walk, even though it has been funny seeing both Speed and Analog try to steal farm from each other in their jungle because of how close the camps are, but at the same time, both carriers are farming on both sides of the map, and that's where you do wonder if this Slark is going to rotate out of the jungle and then suddenly be ready to go, or if this is going to feel like another kind of whiffed game here for the atypical carry. Even though they are looking for speed, the stacks are going to be fading at about 5 seconds.
Do have the Sharpshooter this time as well, or maybe they don't. Gardic's going to get ambushed here, so their focus is a little bit split. They don't actually get the chance to go all in, onto the Timbersaws. They have to back away.
Yeah, it's very awkward. Very nice timing from Fate as well. Really, I think they can only go for that because of the Blink Dagger. It's just very nicely timed up. And every second that Hokori don't spend in Stonebank's face, Medusa's just happily farming in the triangle and then rotating over to the mid lane. This is the rotation that they really couldn't do before the Blink Dagger on the DK, but now that Fate has it, I mean, Fate is happy to make plays.
Is what you pick up this DK in sort of the hopes of getting a tanky sort of playmaker, so living up to that role so far. Meanwhile, checking in on the Slark on the other side, Yuma does have the Diffuser Blade up and running here, so he is still coming along. Maybe not the most exciting gameplay for him so far, as he has pretty much exclusively been farming throughout the first 15 minutes, but said before, maybe this is the point where he comes out of the jungle, he's got 2 or 3 items in his hands, and he becomes a serious problem for DogChamp.
Yeah, at the same time, though, they are Slark, right? They are pinging speed, though. Okay, round 3.
Put him up again. Here comes that sharpshooter hit, and they still don't have this kill, ET. Speed is walking away. He's going to Timber Chain out. The X, though, should pull him back in, but he's starting to get the reactive armor stacks back up, and now Yuma's the one who's going to get jumped in on. They turn, and they find the kill. At a certain point, maybe you just have to learn not to go in onto speed. They just can't bring this Timber Saw down.
The Illuminate comes through, he gets shielded, he gets mist-coiled, he gets chakra'd, and then, again, it's one of the gambles, I want to say, in this Slark pick, especially versus the Timber, and they did this on purpose. They last overall picked the Slark. They just die. The Chakram, the pure damage, the Timber Chain, it is a lot to deal with, and until we see items like the Scotty, like the Silver Edge, your Slark really isn't going to be able to hold a candle to that Timber Saw. I'm really surprised they even went for that.
Especially considering the fact that, as we were talking about, you know, it's not like they picked the Slark because they didn't have other options. There were still heroes in the pool that would have been a bit more conventional and, at least so far, made a little bit more sense, but I don't know. Let's, we won't close the book on Yuma Slark just yet. There's still some time for him to turn this around, but it is apparent now that he does have to turn it around.
Yeah, it certainly is not the prettiest, as Fade gets a pretty free kill, but Vitali looks like he might be able to get Yarn, needs to stay on him for maybe another second. Okay, didn't get lucky with the miss.
9. TP wasn't going to complete there. He is just going to run until his ult ends, and then should be taken down here as Yuma's going to get the credit for that kill. So Hokori are able to put something nice together there. They lose their Hoodwink, but they'll get 2 kills, and the Slark is going to get a little bit of a boost here as he starts working his way towards that Yasha.
Yeah, and, well, unfortunately, actually, with that kill on the Abaddon, if you don't right-click anybody, you don't get that S and Shift stack, and Yuma has 0 to his name as of just yet, but I'm honestly really interested to see how this game actually starts to play out here, because DogChamp are certainly the ones who can make the plays a lot easier, but we are seeing a farm fest kind of play out here where there are so many heroes at around the similar net worth, and at the same time, you don't have that very easy, like, slam item that you just kind of put down there, aside from Fade's Blink, which he has made very useful to his team, but you're not going to see these carries, these heroes really farm up, and then you have these items, and then you just win. It's where everybody needs 2 or 3 items before we see that massive impact here. You see the BKBs being built up, but at the same time, then nothing happens. It's still a game where nothing is going to be the norm for a very long time.
Pace of play can slow to a crawl here next few minutes, if that's the way that these teams choose to play it out. Of course, well, got some items getting picked up here. Speed was able to get his hands on the Kaya Sanj. Your Medusa was able to finish off the Manta style, but okay. Interesting little engagement here. They, again, don't want to commit entirely onto speed as Yuma, he's able to find a kill there. Okay. Lost most of his health to the Timber Saw in the exchange, but as long as Yuma doesn't maybe engage with speed directly, he was able to sort of dance around the edge, still ended up finding a kill, and it's complicated, but Hokori were at least able to make that work in the pickoff. And now they're going to look top. They've got eyes on Yarn. They got the X down onto the DK as well, so once again, their focus is split. This time, though, I think it's going to work out for them, although Fade is looking to TP out. Omisho comes in, so Fade has to just walk away and cancel his own TP, and that means he is almost certainly going to die here. He's got a 20 stack on the wand, but that's not going to be enough as Yuma Oh, all of a sudden he's put together 3 straight kills, and now Permanent Agi's starting to get up there a little bit. He's building his way towards those next items, and DogChamp have fortunately given their opposing carry a little bit of an extra boost. The good news, though, Stonebank's farming hasn't really been pressured up since the laning stage ended.
No, and really, Stonebank has been able to walk towards these item timings. Unfortunately, there has usually been a speed in the lane that he most likely would try to farm alternatively if he had a much less greedy offlaner, but that's also where speed is so incredibly farmed. And I mean, you look at net worth, they're right there neck and neck with each other. And Speed really can kind of work this game over if he needs to, but unfortunately that's where Fade is the one who really drew the short stick here. He's still working for his items, but look at Speed just go. He's just trying to be as annoying as possible, but Yaren, uh-oh.
X into Torrent, into Sharpshooter. Not actually doing all that much damage. Yarn just sort of walks away. He's going to be just fine, but Hokori at least sort of pushed them back off of this tier 2 tower mid, although as I say that, Speed is still sort of pressuring it, and you've got 2 or 3 heroes in this north side jungle for DogChamp, so they could quickly regroup and push back in if Hokori sort of overextend at this point.
Yeah, I mean, really, I feel like if I'm DogChamp at this point, you need to be asking yourselves questions of objectives. What do we need to do in the next few minutes? Is this fine? Can we continue to just play at this pace? We're taking a lot of the map. But at the same time, I don't feel like Hokori are really all too upset with what's going on either. I mean, Vitaly, of all people, feels like he can just build a diffusal blade on CK, which is cool. Maybe not the greatest of all items on a hero that needs quite a few, but versus the Medusa, I guess you can make a little bit more of an argument there. But I think this is where BKB on Yuma, yeah, this is why the smoke up happens. There's a huge power spike. Yarn is useless once those BKBs are on the ground here. And, well...
Quick and easy first kill. Can they find any more? Speed jumps to the high ground. Fade able to blink himself in. He goes for the stun, but this is getting a little bit broken up. They're not picking a target. They did get Analog pretty low initially, but they're not able to continue the aggression onto him. So instead they go for El Misho. That's a kill that they get, but it comes at a cost. Fade caught on the backline, pulled back into the fight. B9 pretty much in the same position as Vitaly gets him up with that reality rift. So now Speed, he's fighting up all by himself, and they're just going to burn through him slowly but surely. And Yuma finds the kill, and hey, guess what? You take a fight next to the pit, you win that fight. Roche is going to go your way. Maybe this is not an easy Roche attempt, but they should be able to get it.
They're so afraid of the slam. Yeah, Garth's going to bait it out with the other 3 heroes, and then you can, like, yeah, there you go. There's your easy Roche attempt now, but yeah, they isolated the DK. They know he's the one who's falling behind the other cores. He's one component away from his BKB. They get the hill. They do pretty much everything right there. Getting Yaren cut off really at the beginning is a huge uptick. They lose a lot of team fight on DogChamp, and all the way back to the draft, that's something that unfortunately in this Timbersaw, that's no more disable, that's no more lockdown. It's something that they weren't able to complete with that Timbersaw pick, and they're just going to keep going. Yuma still has all these stacks. He could just keep the fight, but oh no, they're just going to walk it out. That's not the Stone Gaze. And Stonebank needs to leave. He cannot be here anymore.
They need to try and fall back, but they are going to start losing some heroes here as Yarn gets jumped in on the stun. Will connect. Yuma, though, well, he'll lose that first life, but he's coming right back up, and Yarn has been taken down. Yuma pops the BKB. Bushwhack hits onto Speed, but doesn't actually hit Stonebank, so Hokori are going to back away, and if you're DogChamp, that does not go nearly as poorly as it probably should have. You use your Stone Gaze, you don't get a lot out of it, and you turn that into a 1-for-1 support trade-off, and you burn the Aegis out of Yuma's hands. So that's a win. It probably shouldn't have been, but it is.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to Yuma still over really estimating himself. I think he needs that one tanky item now. He has BKB. You'd love a little bit more beef to actually stick around in these fights, whether or not it's an Ags, a Scotty, something along those lines. It should let him stick around a little bit longer, because currently, if he sticks around that Timbersaw for just 2 seconds, he will be half HP, and then he needs to wait and really kite out that fight. And I think, yeah, that's why we see him switch his order up maybe a little bit more here. But at the same time, tower defended. Mid-tier 1 is still very healthy if you're DogChamp. You still have a lot of different avenues to farm. I just wonder when we're going to see that same decisiveness come out of DogChamp. Faye just finished his BKB, so he's not really going to be that easy target that they can play on with the Kunkka anymore. But we still got to see them find these kills onto objectives to make them really feel safe.
Stonebank trying to accomplish that with the push up top, but Analog is here to try and sort of stymie that attempt. He doesn't have a lot of backup at the moment, though, so Stonebank feels confident enough to continue pushing. That's going to force out the glyph, and now will there be a response from Hokori? Heroes are starting to move their way north, but they are scouted out pretty much the whole way through. Maybe they're not. Yaren is actually going to get hit up near the pit, but while that's happening, they got in onto Vitali. The Chaos Knight is not going to be able to survive that, so they get a quick kill onto a core hero, and Yaren's actually just straight up holding his own in the 2v1 here in terms of the support fight. El Misho's the one to die. Gardic is now going to fall as well, and well, Analog was never the target. They leave him alone up in the top lane. They find 3 kills in and around this sort of cliffside, and DogChamp are able to swing some momentum.
Yeah, it's a little ugly. You got to be a little unhappy, I think, if you're a Hokori there. They're not finding their ways onto the backline in the way that they won their other team fights so successfully that led them into the pit. I think also comes from that confidence that Fade has now that he does have that BKB. I feel like he can just kind of do whatever he wants. And you look over, again, at Speed, who is still keeping pace with his own Medusa. He's about to have a Shiva's guard. I mean, this guy is not stopping anytime soon. I feel like he really is doing everything and then some for his boys here. And also, looking over at Yaren, he has so many items that are actually being built up. Of course, had the Spirit Vessel rushed it, so he had something to deal with both the Kunkka and the CK. But at the same time, having a Force Staff, having a Ghost Scepter, Yaren's getting what he needs.
Really starting to build himself up here as this is an interesting scenario. Stonebank gets momentarily stunned up, but he's still fighting, and Gardic is, well, just willing to die for his wards, I suppose, but that doesn't really accomplish a whole lot for the side of Hokori. And now, look at DogChamp. They're trying to threaten the high ground. Speed gets pulled back in by the Reality Rift, but honestly, even if they connect onto him before the Force Staff pushes him out, that's not really a kill that they can realistically get.
Okay, killed a cart. Don't have a DK form for another second here, but once they pop it, somebody's got to come back here. Yuma's one component away from getting his Scotty. Do they really just decide to give up a free Rax? It almost feels like they have to.
I don't know, Vitali's trying to make something happen here, but Stonebank is able to disjoint with the Manta. They continue the siege. Rax is down to about half HP here. And for Vitali, this play is not really doing anything. The Reality Rift is not enough to really convince DogChamp that Hokori are serious about pushing in, so just continue their push forward to get the full lane of Rax. They get everything and they walk away, and there's really zero chance that Hokori go chasing after them.
Yeah, and that's the moment, I suppose, where they use that glyph on the mid tower. I don't think Hokori were really ready to deal with the full 5-on-5 fight. It's where, again, you look over at the Slark in the bottom lane, who is very quickly farming up, but is still much slower than this Medusa, at least when it comes to the flash farm. Stonebank is now an item ahead of his opponent here. He's going to have a butterfly at the same time the Scotty is finished up, so then you have the Slark messing with his skill build, or rather his item build again. I really feel like now it's Hokori who are the ones under pressure here. We're going to have to see what this Roche Charm is going to look like, but at the same time, I feel like Hokori are the ones that need to aggress out of the base. They need to find a target. I think especially they need to find another kill onto this Timbersaw. Speed is just able to play in way too many lanes right now at once. He's been alone for a large portion of this game as well, or with only 1 or 2 heroes behind him. And really, with him not slowing down at all, they can't really afford to expend all that damage, all those spells onto the Timbersaw. They need to save that for the Deusa at this point. They're just getting to be too many targets that you can't afford to stay on, where the Hokori need to take that really long fight. And with the Scotty on Yuma finally finished, they certainly can, but it's time to come back. 5 on your tower.
Yeah, you gotta get somebody over here to defend this, because otherwise they're just gonna lose that tier 3 easily. Misho's the first one in, but I say first, implying that there's going to be more. I'm not sure of that at the moment. The rest of Hokori try for the 4-man smoke to get around the backside, and this could work, but look at how split up DogChamp are. They're not going to sort of just group up until they see this opportunity. Gardic is going to be the one sort of caught out. They're looking to take him down first. They don't find the kill immediately, but there is a secondary sort of aspect to this fight in the lane itself. Stonebank activates the ult. Hokori, at least for now, do a pretty decent job of sort of dodging that one out as they'll turn around and find the quick kill onto Yaren, but they really do need to be able to deal with Stonebank. Now that he's used that ult, can they get in onto him? Right now, not entirely clear. They're burning through the mana shield at an okay rate, but, well, it's starting to get a little bit complicated because now, yeah, they're starting to run out of health. There's going to be one down as Vitali falls. Analog has to fall back. Buybacks, though, are starting to come out from both sides. Vitali's going to use one, B9 rejoins the fight on the ABBA, but at the end of the day, Stonebank's still alive, and that's really the only thing that matters. You can't win a fight if you're Hokori without getting through that Dusa.
Yeah, and well, if you're gonna sink everything into the deuce, I mean, that was your fight where Stonebank used his ulti really sloppily early on, but nothing gets hit up onto the timber saw. And okay, I'm looking over at speed, but look at Yuma.
Yuma, you
He
can't.
cannot stay next to the timber, and well, maybe now he needs at least one more disable with the Kunkka. Maybe they can get speed, but oh, it's so sloppy, it's so messy.
Speed is just going to walk away from this at this point. They can't do it. They needed that sharpshooter to hit, and even if it did, you're still looking at a questionable kill, but without it, it's just not possible. Speed is nigh unkillable.
Yeah, and now you're going to go into the situation where DogChamp, there's not going to be a Roche. It will be a very fast Roche respawn, but if they really need to, they go right back towards bottom. There's no CK buyback. If he ever shows up without a BKB in the rest of these fights, Vitaly could just die and then sit on the sideline as he gets megas, basically. There's not really that many resources left for Hokori to actually output here. Over the course of what feels like 3 or 4 minutes, everything has just come up DogChamp, and well, there's another kill. And again, spearheaded by Speed, moving onto the high ground and taking away your vision.
Just really getting everything that they want right now. Speed is sort of acting as the anchor, and then you have your DK blink in. Fade's got that stun, and well, they're a little bit early for Roshan here. 5 seconds before that respawn, so not going to be able to get onto that just yet, but if somebody sticks around to keep vision, then they should have control at this point. Hokori are pretty far spread out across the map, so did attempt to take Roche, then I don't know how quick the response would be. The only thing is, how quickly could DogChamp actually get through Roche? They are going to give it a go. Speed's just going to throw out the chakram. That does a lot of the heavy lifting here, and well, at this point, this is going to work out just fine. Stonebank will leisurely make his way over. Once he starts adding his own right-click damage, they should get through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, and well, if you couldn't afford to get onto the Medusa before, well, what are you going to do when this Medusa has an Aegis, has an Ag Shard? Okay, give it over to Fade. I didn't realize he didn't have that one just yet, but now what do you do? I feel like this is doomsday situation. Hokori need to find everybody aside from the Medusa, it feels like, and just hope Stonebank isn't strong enough to just 1v5 them, but I feel like Stonebank is almost over the bend here. He's got to be 25 by the time they get through that bottom tier 2. And then, what do? Yuma just does not look scary enough on this Slark. It really does not feel like he's going to be able to do anything. Very helplessly, I see him queuing up this MKB because he needs anything to do versus this Butterfly. I just don't know if it's going to be there in time. I feel like this push bottom is just going to be crushing for them. Stormbank's going to have the Daedalus on top of it. UAMs, the split shot modifiers is online. I feel like the team fight's just grown way too large for the Slark to do anything in the fights.
And also, looking at even more stuff to make Yuma really just unhappy, there is an Ags up on the Timber Saw. So you were already struggling to deal with one chakram, now you're going to have to potentially deal with 2 at the same time. That kind of damage is something that the Slark really still isn't ready for. The Scotty does make him a little bit beefier, but seriously question whether that's enough durability for him to survive. As they're going to give another attempt at the speed kill. Can they finally get it? No, Ghost Ship is going to come through. They have the stun. They finally have the kill. Stonebank now is actually getting caught up in the Torrent Storm as Analog was able to grab an Aghanim Scepter of his own, so this might be doable. Yuma now going to jump back in. Bloody 9 has his ult activated as Yuma's trying to dish out as much damage as he can, but this is still an awkward spot on the low ground, so he uses the Spider Legs to regroup. That means they're able to get onto El Misho in exchange, and they will find that quick kill onto the Hoodwink, but your Hokori and for a second round, Yuma's going to push his way in. B9 would be a quick and easy kill, but with 4 heroes there, where is Yuma's backup? The rest of the team just sort of went away, and now Yuma's on the run, trying to get into the tree line. Spider Leg's coming back up, so he should be okay to fall back, and now the reinforcements will arrive. Vitali gets in for the snipe, but now he's stunned up. Yuma's got to come back in to defend his buddy, but even if he does, Vitali was still too low. They'll find that kill. This is just getting so strange. Analog, meanwhile, with Gardic, is still all the way up that bottom lane around the tier 2 tower, so Yuma's just going to be forced to back away, and I don't know. If the whole team is there with Yuma when he jumps in onto B9, then that looks like a much more favorable fight for them overall. Instead, Yuma goes in alone, and everyone has to scramble to sort of get him out. They end up losing Vitali in the process.
Yeah, and Halberd from Fade being perfectly played by him is the only reason that it takes so long, and it forces the CK to actually die in the process of taking out Bloody Nine. But that was also their picture-perfect jump. They got the break, they had the Silver Edge onto the Timbersaw, they got speed, and they almost didn't get speed. I think if
Hmm.
speed survives there barely, well, then the game is over immediately for Hokori. If they just push into the tier 2, and then the game most likely ends. But at the very least, there's some hope, if not a lot of hope, as Yuma is still trying to cut these creep waves, but look at the damage. It's so brutal, and is he going to be forced to TP out? Oh!
Oh, they got him. Didn't think that he needed his own BKB there, and that ends up being maybe a miscalculation as that little bit of extra damage. I mean, every single bit that DogChamp threw out there was needed because he gets so close to finishing that TP. But now, with the Slark dead, I mean, he's got buyback, so he can rejoin the fight, but there's no longer any viable way for them to defend that outer tower, and now, without the buyback, they might not even be able to defend their high ground, because Vitali's not up for another 5, and DogChamp just see their moment. They're going to try and push in, and the tier 3 tower is almost dead already.
Yeah, with a minute left on the Aegis, too, this is not pretty. They might just decide to back here, but here comes the CK, looking for the break. Sentry on the left side, though, they're going to see him coming in. I feel like they got to do something, though.
And he really is taking a long path all the way around, but now his teammates will make the move. Analog comes in, activates the BKB. They are actually looking for Yaren as the first kill, and they're actually still not getting it. Yuma tries to push in, but he actually got locked down by the Stone Gaze, so they don't finish that kill off quickly. They will get it still, and they'll take down Bloody Nine as well, but they still need to deal with the core. Stonebank still fighting on the front line. 30 seconds left for that Aegis, so they would love to fight around the Medusa for the time being. I'm just not sure they have the means to do so, as Fade and Speed just go straight in onto Vitali. That CK was sort of stuck on the outside of the base while his teammates were all inside, so they lose the Chaos Knight. Go buyback for 40 seconds, and Stonebank, you do want to be a little bit careful. 10 seconds left on that Aegis, and he is very tough, but he's not unkillable, and if you lose that second life, this would be a very awkward spot. As they get the X marks the spot down, it's going to be the Torrent. They've got the Tidal Wave to try and pull him further back. The Aegis has expired, didn't even really get healed by it as he was immediately taking damage. But can they actually get this kill? At this point, Speed has sort of pushed into the front line. Fade has arrived as well, just to sort of act as a distraction, so there's a wall in front of this Medusa, but they are still trying. The Tidal Wave pulls him back. There's going to be the Ghost Ship. They will finally finish the kill. But at this point, I mean, that's a kill you had to have, but you've lost now 2 full lanes of racks, and it's still looking tough, because if it takes you, what, how long was that? Like a minute and a half to kill off this Medusa? Feels like most of the time DogChamps are going to have reinforcements ready.
Yeah, and I think really the only reason DogChamp run out of gas there is namely because Speed runs out of mana. When Speed has full mana, he's an absolute threat. It's something that Hokori can't really deal with at this stage of the game. They cannot afford to kill him. They can't afford to ignore him. Half the time, I'm just seeing Yuma running in, just getting immediately chunked down by the chakrams, just raining through with the Whirling Death, and that's where, at the very least, you're not megas. You still have the range racks top. You have 50 seconds of actual farm time. You can actually break away towards that map, but are you really going to be able to finish anything that's going to keep you in this game? They're almost assuredly going to be megas by that next push. I think what's going to happen is that DogChamp is going to wait for the next Aegis. It might respond in a minute 30, could be longer. We'll have to see. That's the minimum timer. Depending on what that timer looks like, that could be the end of the game there. Because of Hokori, they need to get out of their base. They need to fight it. They need to flood buybacks, and I think that's where this game is going to lie. Whether or not they can use their buybacks to actually take down these ultra tanky heroes. Also, whether or not, and we actually do get to see it, Yuma gets his 25, so we do have that essence shift duration. What we could see is Hokori looking for skirmishes, trying to get that Agi. Yuma's going to need a whole hell of a lot of Agi, though, to take down this Medusa cleanly.
Yeah, that might just have to be the play. Sort of hit and run tactics. Get the essence shift up, and if you hit that point where you have everything aligning perfectly time-wise, then maybe they force the fight then. But that's a pretty big if, and that's assuming Hokori are going to be able to buy a little bit of extra time here, because you take a look at DogChamp, they are smoking up, pushing their way forward a little bit. Don't know if they're just going to go straight in for that final lane of racks. It kind of looks like that is the game plan for them at the moment, considering their trajectory, but Actually, there is no but, really. Hokori aren't going to be able to do anything to stop this. By the time they realize it's happening, it's already over. The Rax is gone.
Yep.
There's your Megas. Analog did pick up a Refresher Orb, so... yeah. Get the Ghost Ships in. If you can find the level 25 talent to get the fleet as well, then got a lot of that going on. You've got your Tidal Wave and your Torrent Storm that could be refreshed as well, so there is a hell of a lot of lockdown that he could throw into these fights, keep someone like Stonebank up in the air, because the Deuce still doesn't have a BKB, but that's still sort of assuming that you get really the best possible sort of placement on those abilities, the best possible RNG to sort of help you out as well, so I don't know. Hokori, you're going to have to really roll the dice on one final fight.
Yeah, and well, look at that. The second fastest Roche timer you could possibly ask for, even though Hokori are, well, megas and stuck in their base for really the foreseeable future. It's still not a happy sight for them. This does mean Analog will certainly get his 25, and they will be able to, at the very least, I want to say get buyback on most of their heroes, but it's still a really kind of sad way for this game to go out here. We'll have to see if it's the Ags or the Refresher. I feel like if I'm DogChamp, probably get the Refresher. Probably seems a little bit more potent on your heroes, especially with Fade picking up a Hex of all things. So that could just blow the game wide open, disable, Yuma for good 12, 13 seconds. That'd be a sight to see, especially since he's the only one on his team that doesn't have buyback by timer, aside from Gardic. But the rest of them, they really just need gold at this point. Nobody's really been able to farm up all too much aside from Yuma.
And speaking of Yuma, he does get his hands on that MKB now, so well, he hits a little bit harder, I suppose. He's got the Pent-Edge sword now in his neutral slot as well, so I guess there's still some hope, but it is going to be rough for them, especially with DogChamp just, pushing in for Roshan, Aegis Cheese, and Refresher Shard. No really hope of contesting this from the Hokori side, and who grabs what?
Yep.
It's on Stonebank, Cheese on Timber, and as you said, Fade will take the Refresher. So they should be ready. This is about as strong as they're going to get relative to their opponents. They will try to push in and finish this one off.
And it is a hell of a fight that they have to deal with. This is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be easy. They have to be completely cautious about these heroes approaching the waves, not to mention no buybacks on the Kunkka or the CK. It's not like you can really dangle any hero in front of DogChamp. Really, I think when this Medusa kind of walks up towards these tier 4s, we could see the collapse. At the same time, also, look at El Misho. It's breaking the smoke, but, oh!
X goes down onto him, so the Hoodwink has been caught. The Hoodwink will go down. Did have buyback available, though, so Corey are going to be able to get him back up and into this fight, but right now, Vitali, he's not in the base. He's got his TP at the ready, but well, I mean, the push is coming. He's going to have to get back pretty much now. The tier 4s are already under attack, and DogChamp are not going to be stopping this time around. The only way they stop is if Hokori killed them. Here's the buyback. There's the Ghost Ship fleet coming into play. The Tidal Wave is going to come through as well, actually, to pull them back in, but where's the damage? That is what they need right now, trying to push their way forward, but Stonebank able to activate the Stone Gaze. That's going to push everyone away. Hokori trying to fall back and regroup. They've already lost one tier 1 tower, or excuse me, tier 4 tower, and Yuma, okay, pops the ult. He's going to try to keep fighting, but he needs to fall back and heal up. While he does so, however, Vitali is going to be forced to sort of press in here and do this by himself. He doesn't have the damage for it, though, as DogChamp, they just keep on going. Stonebank's going to stand in the middle of all of this. He takes down Almisho. Vitali will now die as well, and Hokori are really going to start running out of gas as Yuma tries to jump on the back line, doesn't have the damage to kill anyone. They'll take him down. He doesn't have buyback. That really should be the end of it. The rest of Hokori are going to get cleaned up here, and the GG will be called as DogChamp finish it off.
Oh, man. Speed, speed, speed. The stand-in of the ages for DogChamp. I feel like he really was the one to carry this game, but also, back to the draft, the Slark pick just does not feel great, man. It just keeps coming out very scantily, very rarely. We don't see it a whole bunch, but when we do, it's always because of a proposed reason. And I feel like this just did not work out for Yuma. I feel like Yuma specifically as well. I've seen him losing this hero, I don't want to say so many times because I feel like I've only seen him play Slark maybe 3 or 4, but when he does, it's always because there's this idea on paper that, hey, this could work, it's different, it's cool. I'm also looking over at my notes, seeing if Slark got changed at all in 731C, and Yeah, mana cost reduced by 10, 8, one less clarity. Viable versus yeah, no. I feel like it still just was not a proven hero for them, and maybe an oversight on the Timbersaw ban out there from Hokori, because speed sure made this game look easy. My lord, speed was huge. Speed was everywhere he needed to be. Speed made it almost impossible for Analog and Vitalia to play normally. I mean, the Timbersaw just kind of carried this one, I think.
There we go. Lost the cameras for a moment, but we could still hear you. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. And it's like you said, it's Yuma so often as well who's still trying to fight for this Slark, but it isn't a thing, really. I mean, you can force it all you want. It just doesn't ever really seem to hit that mark. So, well,